My name is Ghostboy259 and I played The Last Campfire. The Last Campfire is developed by Hello Games, and yes, that same Hello Games that developed No Man's Sky, which is one of the more interesting gaming redemption stories out there. Or so I'm told. I haven't played it. The Last Campfire is a cute little puzzle game that tries to do a lot of things, and for the most part, pulls them off successfully. There's a light story which is honestly more direct than I would have thought. There's a huge genre of puzzle games out there where everything is really vague and implied and artsy, and they don't tell you things directly, like it's this big mystery that isn't meant to be solved, or everything's very metaphorical, there's something deeper than what's on the surface. I thought that's perhaps what The Last Campfire would be, until this ghost told me about the Forest King, who is a real entity you meet. You meet the Forest King, it's not just like a big spooky metaphor. And that's when I realized there's actually more of a world in here. There's some solid world building. I'm not at all complaining, it just felt like it was setting up to something different. I won't cover the story too much, it's not worth spoiling in a game like this, although my footage might spoil little bits, so just a heads up if you are watching. As per usual, if you want to experience the game with me, you can check it out on Reality Escape Plays. If you want to watch me record the gameplay for these videos live, you can join me at twitch.tv/ghostboy259. And if you want to see these videos early, check out Patreon. All links are at realityescape.ca. You control this little character, unnamed, but called an Ember, and the gist of the game is going around and finding other Embers and solving the puzzles in their head to kind of set them free. But there's also puzzles to do to find those Embers. There's basically 3 phases of puzzles, and they all feel a little bit different, but also not too disjointed from each other. The overworld puzzles generally involve traversing the map and talking to the NPCs. Oftentimes it's, hey, find this item and bring it over here, or pull this lever and then walk around this space and unlock this path. These aren't necessarily the hardest puzzles, but the big challenge is that everything is kind of spread out, so you may not realize how far you need to go to unlock certain parts. In this overworld, you have to find 4 of the 7 individual embers before you can complete the section and move on, and there are 3 sections of the game in total. And sometimes you can get lost, or even worse, walk around in circles because you're missing something completely obvious. The game is puzzly enough where you'll have a bit of a challenge completing it, but easy enough where anytime you need to look up a solution, you're gonna feel really stupid about it. These outer levels also have these little diaries you can collect, which I didn't collect them all, but more power to the people who want a little bit more. Once you meet an Ember who is in a sleep-like state, you need to complete their personal puzzle, where you're in a more confined space with a more straightforward goal. These puzzles are often things like push the pillars and blocks to cross the bridge, or move this block out of the way so you can move forward. But everything is on a grid system, so you have to do things in a specific way. Every puzzle is a little bit different in its mechanics, but it's basic enough that it's immediately instinctive as to what you're supposed to do and generally how you're supposed to do it. There's nothing original here in terms of the puzzles, so there's no learning curve, and I actually kind of appreciate this because you don't encounter 15 of the same puzzle type in a row, you never get bored or frustrated when something pops up. The game trains you to be in this mindset of, what are we going to encounter next? And it's fun because it really doesn't feel like anything is off limits. Occasionally you'll run into something that's a little extra, kind of like a boss puzzle, but again, the game does a pretty good job at making it clear what you can and can't do. Once you get the Lanthorn, things open up a little bit more because it allows you to manipulate specific platforms out of puzzles, and there are certainly parts where you can get a little bit lost or overwhelmed if you're not ready for it, but overall, everything is really mid-level of difficulty. Only 2 or 3 puzzles really stumped me to the point where I had to look things up, which to me is like the perfect amount for a game. Not too easy where I crushed everything, but not so hard that I had to look up every single puzzle. But if you're like an expert puzzle gamer, you might find things pretty tame. As I mentioned, there's 3 distinct sections in this game, each requiring 4 of the 7 embers in each section to move forward. I would recommend getting all 7 if you are going to play this game, just because 4 makes everything feel really short. You tend to just find the 4 easier ones first before getting the other 3 harder ones. Otherwise, depending on how many you do, the game can probably be done in one sitting, maybe 4 to 6 hours. Depends on how long you sit for, I suppose. One of the things that really makes me like this game, outside of the way it looks, I think the art direction is really nice and consistent, is the narration. Everything is narrated by one single voice, and there's something very captivating and special about it. You are being told a story, as if you were being read a story out of a book, and it's a really lovely way of delivering information. I especially love when another character talks to you. The voice kind of does a slightly different voice, as if you were reading a book to a child and you were trying to put on a different voice for the characters. It's super engaging and adds this really mystical, fantastical tone to the game.
The fisherman spoke softly. There's a frog in that pond, a big one. Saw him grow from a tadpole. We were friends of a sort. Spent every day side by side. The guard leered. The forest king would like you, little scruff. Yes, come a little closer. Let us see what's in that bag. The cook spoke softly. Oh, hello, little one. I didn't see you. I must have lost myself for a moment.
It's a narrative and you're being brought along for the ride. The puzzles are kind of inconsequential, and I think that's okay for puzzle games. Not everything needs to be Portal, where the story is intricately woven into the gameplay. And while I don't want to spoil the story, I do really like it. It's definitely one of those new wave puzzle games where the story is really deep, and maybe a little bit too deep compared to what you're doing gameplay wise. And if you're an old school gamer, playing this, you might be wondering why you're playing a puzzle game about anxiety or depression, but that's just how a lot of newer games are now. And without spoiling, there is a twist in the story at the end that legitimately made me gasp. I was very surprised at how it all played out. But otherwise, I don't want to spoil it because I think the game is easy and fun enough that you should go experience it for yourself if you're interested enough. Or, like I said before, experience it along with me on my channel. You might see something cool. What The Last Campfire ultimately is a really good starter kit if you've never played a puzzle game like this. It's not the most complicated brain stumper, but it's not the easiest walk in the park either. And I would 100% recommend this to anyone who wants to try to get into more puzzlers where you control a character rather than just clicking through things. It really gives you a little bit of everything. Almost too little, like you just want a little bit more, but it all comes together with a neat little bow on it, and in the end, I didn't really have any complaints. It's not hard to see why this game was so praised by the people who played it. The story was good, it's deep and meaningful, and it allows people to get something else out of the game, and the delivery of the story is near perfect, tied up by a really lovely narration. It's not the perfect game, it's not the best game, but it delivers on all fronts, and overall a really lovely experience that I think is worth playing. But, sitting at the last light of the campfire, my name is Ghostboy259, and I played The Last Campfire. An engaging story, a beautiful aesthetic, and a fun challenge for the mind. Next time, I'll play something else. Thanks for watching.